Shalom, and welcome to a message for the Parsha for Parshat Ki-Teitzei. One of the many mitzvot in this week's Parsha is the mitzvah of sending away the mother bird. Basically, it says if one chances upon a nest, either eggs or little chicklings, and there's a mother bird hovering over this nest, and one desires to take that nest, one first has an obligation to send away, to chase away the mother bird, and only when she's away can you take the chicklings, can you take her young. The Torah deviates from what it does by almost every other single mitzvah in the Torah, and it actually tells us a reward. It tells us, do this Leman yitav lach v'harachta yamim, in order that it be good for you, and you should have arichut yamin, which means a long life, long days, literally. So this is, at least it seems to be, a reward for doing this mitzvah. On the one hand, the sages tell us, wow, look what this teaches us, that here is such an easy mitzvah to do. I mean, how hard is it to just whoosh away the mother bird and take the nest? And in fact, when she comes back, after you've already taken the nest, you can now take the bird too. So that's not an issue. In other words, there's no matter of loss here. There's no matter of great exertion. You don't have to invest any much time and effort, energy, cost in order to do the mitzvah. And yet the Torah tells us what a tremendous reward you're going to get for this mitzvah. Namely, that it's going to be good for you and you'll have lengthy days. So say the sages, this gives us an idea of how much more so when it comes to those mitzvot that do require an investment, an exertion, an investment of time and effort, an investment of energy, an investment of thought, an investment of time. Certainly, most certainly, Hashem will reward us in the performance of those mitzvot. That's one aspect of it. However, there's really a discussion that needs to be appreciated. There's a discussion in the Talmud which actually visits this topic. Namely, is there reward for mitzvot in this world, meaning in this material world that we live in this physical life? And in fact, the Talmud seems to conclude, at least the leading opinion, Rabbi Yaakov says, quote, Schar mitzvah b'hai alma leka, reward for mitzvah in this world, leka, there isn't. What then does it mean when the verse says, in order that it be good for you, and you should have lengthy days, lengthy years? So it says that he explains that to mean for the afterlife, or more specifically, what we call the real Holam Haba, which is after the era of the resurrection of the dead, when we will have long years, meaning it'll be the ultimate life, and it will be the ultimate good, as we say, that it will be like a Yom Shekulo Shabbat U'Menucha. It will be like all one long day of Shabbat and rest. Yom Shekulo Tov. Quote, a day, meaning an era, which is all good. So here becomes the debate. Is there reward? Is there good that one receives for doing mitzvah in this world or not? It's certain that the ultimate reward is the reward that we get in the afterlife, in Gan Eden, and especially that which will come after Mashiach comes. But the question is, should one, or could one, or does one expect to have any whatsoever good in this material world as a result or in association with his performance of mitzvot? So the Rebbe gives us a very interesting perspective. And this is based on the Rambam's, Maimonides' approach to this matter, where in one hand it comes out that, quote, there is no such thing as material reward for the performance of a mitzvah, which is essentially a spiritual act, even though it's done with a physical item or physical things. Because one cannot compensate for the other. There is no connection between the two. Yet, Maimonides tells us that when Mashiach comes, there will be an abundance of good. There will be a tremendous amount of luxuries and delicacies available to us, quote, like the dust, meaning it'll be readily available everywhere, anywhere, all over. And yet, Maimonides maintains that the reason why the sages so much wanted, so much yearned for the time of Mashiach is not for all these goodies, it's not for all these delicacies that they envisioned, it's not for all these luxuries that will be readily and freely available, but rather it's because we know that era will usher in a time in which our eyes will be opened up. We will see godliness. We will study Torah. We'll have revelations of godliness in Torah on a level unprecedented, like never before. What then is this talk all about? The goodies, the delicacies, the luxuries that will be freely available? So the Rebbe explains what Maimonides is telling us, and it almost quotes his words, that is not a matter of reward. That is not a matter of enticement. This is not why we want it. But rather what it is the following. You see, when you give somebody a task and you really desire for them, you really want for them to fulfill that task in its entirety, what is the rational thing to do? You give them the tools, the means with which to perform that task. You don't send out a soldier to war without a gun, and without training, without the proper equipment. Likewise, when Hashem gives us mitzvot, and we yearn to perform those mitzvot, we yearn to be close to Hashem, but we need those means, whether it's the money, whether it's the time, the energy, in order to perform the mitzvot, in order to study Torah, without distractions. When you have an empty stomach, it's very hard to concentrate on your prayers. When you're wanting for basic needs, it's very hard to focus on your study of Torah. So therefore, this is not a matter of reward, this is a matter of necessity. Hashem gives us what we need in order to be able to perform the mitzvot. So the actual reward, the payback, the positive payback for doing the mitzvot, that comes later. That is in a totally different level. But the good that we could expect, the material good, is not a matter of reward. It's a matter of us exhibiting our connection to Hashem, our determination to do mitzvot. Thus, Hashem gives us the means. He provides us the means, sometimes even giving us like an advance in order for us to have the resources with which to perform the mitzvot. So the more we do mitzvot, the more we, quote, convince Hashem to give us more, to advance us more, to widen our line of credit, if so to speak, in order for us to be able to do more mitzvot, whether it's tzedakah, whether it's the study of Torah, the helping of others, the tefillah, the prayers, whatever mitzvot we do, we are basically telling Hashem, we are great custodians, we are good performers, give us the means, give us more for us, for our families, so with peace of mind, we can continue to increase in our observance of mitzvot. Shabbat Shalom.